And just like that, before the hook drops, it is us here on a Tuesday evening. And welcome everyone to a brand new show here on the Broad Street South Sports Network, which is Coaching Sessions. And you guys are going to absolutely love this couple as much as I do. And I don't say that about everyone because why? Because these guys are going to give you the different version of mental awareness and mental health that you normally would hear from a paid professional. So what you're going to hear tonight, the experience you're going to have, and hopefully from here on out, if you guys have questions, comments, you also know the live number to call in, 813-553-1130. You guys can end up calling in, ask them questions. And if you're going through any kind of mental health issues, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, please share it here on the show as we're going to get everybody here tune in tonight with a brand new type of show here on Broad Street South. And we're absolutely excited to have Genia and Jesse on with us. Great couple. They're living their best life, as the picture I showed everyone earlier out on social media that I shared, and I'll end up bringing it back up again as soon as I find it because I'm always scrolling through a bunch of stuff here. But you guys can see the beautiful couple up there on your screen. Again, leaning into our triggers, challenges, beliefs, and yes, BS with Coaching Sessions. These guys are going to absolutely wow you tonight. So give us time to get everything going, of course. You guys know that we start the show differently every single time. But tonight, we're going to welcome our guests right on here. So normally I do my Broad Street South introduction, and I see DJ Montage in the background as well, getting things started. So with that being said, it is the lovely couple, husband and wife themselves, Genia and Jesse. Guys, ladies, how are you this evening?
Hello.
Awesome. Hello, Angel.
Hello, Angel, and everyone.
Hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. We are so grateful to be here tonight on this beautiful Tuesday night.
Absolutely. Saying hello from the rather warm Bahamas.
Yes.
Yeah, that is extremely, extremely nice. I will say from paradise here in Tampa, Florida, it is the time of the year when it starts to get really warm. And I think the next time we might see 70 degrees in the middle of the day would be about December 25th or so. And I'm not complaining because it's always a great thing. It's always a beautiful thing. And we, of course, are here live at the LG Direct Sales Solution Studios in Tampa, Florida. And as we said, the phone lines are open if you guys want to call in. If you have any kind of issues you guys want to talk about, 813-553-1130, as you guys can see there on the screen. And with all that being said, as we dive right into it, and I want to talk about as far as the first topic here, we know that there's a lot of people that they go around and they might use the mental health into our mental awareness as a crutch because while I'm at work and I know my now work decided to offer this new thing that if I'm not feeling good, well, I can raise my mental health awareness card and say, hey, I don't feel like coming into work today. Then even though I'm going to go out in a boat or do something else. So I want to get from you guys, the experts here, when people talk about mental health awareness and they want to know about exactly, what their feelings are, the actions, without taking it in a whole different light or a whole different spectrum, meaning that don't lie about it, but come out and say something. What's the best way someone could approach you guys, for example, and get the best life advice they possibly can?
That is a great question. Would you like to
Absolutely
jump on in on that one?
I think the first thing that we like to remind everyone and we like to mention is the fact that we're all going through this. We all have backgrounds. We all have past experiences, and our feelings about ourselves, our beliefs about ourselves are exactly, where we have derived all those things are from our pasts. We're not taught necessarily, how to break them down, how to look at the experiences that we've had, especially as kids. And now here we are as adults. And a lot of those perceptions and those beliefs stem from those. And it's true for all of us.
It's true. Our perceptions and how we see the world is massively distorted because, and it's very individual for each and every one of us, because it comes from our own beliefs, our own things that we've learned from our caregivers and our parents. And, from what we've learned from the meanings that we've created within our own selves through life. So you're asking, mental health, we're all in the mental health spectrum. Some people, have the tools, they've learned the tools to navigate certain challenges, and others haven't. So to your question of what do you do when people are kind of pulling the mental health card, I think, that can happen, but I think It's a strategy that they've learned. You know, it's not an intentional, oh, let me pull the card because I need to get out of work today, perhaps. It is, I'm going to pull this card because it's the only thing I've learned that I know how to do. And I can, you know, practice avoidance through that strategy, or I could just get myself out of a day of work, or maybe I can get some of attention or validation. So I think, you know, it's a double-edged sword.
It is. And what's behind all that? Fear.
Fear.
You know, it's fear of being judged by others. It's fear of that actually can stem from judging ourselves. Genia and I have spent a lot of time talking about, you know, what sits at that core. And we always end up with the same answer, and it's relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's the relationship that we have with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It's the relationship that we have with others. The events from our past lives, and maybe even the relationship we have to the perception of the events coming up. You know, sometimes that's, you know, obviously where the anxiety might come from, and the relationship that we have with the circumstances in our lives. And how do we deal with all those different types of relationships? We deal with them with the same skills and tools that we have gathered in that belief system from growing up, adolescence, young adulthood, into life. And you know what? Some of those, they worked for us back then, but they don't necessarily work for us now. And are we learning new tools and new skills to deal with life as it is as an adult, so to speak? Or are we still using how we dealt with it as children?
Right. And again, what we're perceiving about ourselves is what we're going to project onto the world, right? We perceive, oh, I'm anxious, I have a problem. That's what I'm gonna project, or if I whatever it is, or if I'm feeling wonderful about myself, wonderful and confident and capable, I'm going to project that out into the world. So it really goes back to our beliefs about ourselves. But we're so often judging ourselves and others on the surface level of behavior, right?
And we do it to other people.
And we do it to other people. That we don't get down underneath and dig and what is the belief that's driving that? Why would that person be using that as an excuse, or would they not be, or what strategy did they learn that's not working?
Right.
Yeah. And I have to agree there, because I'm going to bring up something that we're going to end up bringing up later on throughout the show as we're talking about different memes. We also talk about when people talk about mental health awareness, and some people, if you were in the service, some people have seen things that other people may have never seen and never dealt with. And so there's different levels of where you are. If you live in a big city, you may get tired of what goes on in the surroundings around your neighborhood. You might be the one person in your neighborhood that want to make everything better. But unfortunately, the 50 other houses around you want things the way they are, chaotic, to be noisemakers, to be whatever the case may be. Me coming from Philly, moving down to Tampa, it was like night and day. I came from, and I don't want to say completely chaos, because Philly's not completely chaotic, but it gets to the point where we talked about before we went on air that everything's got to happen really fast. Everything. You go to Wawa. Oh my God, it's going to take 2 minutes for the coffee to make 2 minutes. Oh,
2 minutes.
Yeah.
So much time.
Yeah. And then you come down here to Florida, same Wawa now. As far as the same company, but then it's like the apology is like, I'm sorry, it's going to take about 2 minutes for it, to brew. I'm like, what, are you talking to me? You're apologizing for, it's okay. I'm not dying within the next 2 minutes for coffee, but it's all right. Things will be fine. But you take that into today's society where then you have social media, which can either be a really good thing and or a really bad thing. And the addiction that some people have to it, because they feel like they need to be the most popular person on social media, that either they'll do something that's not within their character. And I hate to say it when it comes to and it's not all women. And thankfully I have my young girls. I also have my young nieces, and they haven't done it to this point yet. And if they do, they know they're going to get a big talk from me. But you have some girls that just their natural beauty, they can put out a message, and it could be something uplifting, thanks for today, or God, thank you for, giving me another day. But if they don't showcase these features in their body, all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm going to swipe, or I'm not even going to like that because they're not showing that. But you can have a girl or even a guy with a six pack, and they don't have to say anything, and just stand something like this and take a picture and they get 1,000 freaking likes, 10,000 likes, and now all of a sudden it becomes super popular. So why, coming again to you guys, why is it on social media? Can't we just be us, where we have to be what people want us to be, and we just can't get that natural true love that we all look for? And I'm not saying that we have to be wholeheartedly, like someone's got to come up to you and say, I love you, but just to be accepted for who you are.
Let me jump in, and I'll say one thing. We humans have the most wonderful superpower. One of our many superpowers is the superpower of fitting in, right? We are chameleons, and we learn at a very, very young age to fit in, right? We're born and we realize very early, ooh, smile at mom. She's going to smile back. Bring home that beautiful picture from kindergarten. They're going to put it on the refrigerator. We start learning very quickly that validation comes from without. We're never, we're not taught, most of us are not taught to validate ourselves, check in with ourselves. So we learn very early on, between birth and age 7, that who we are is directly related to what we do. So we seek that outside validation, and it actually creates a biochemical reaction in our brains. It releases these wonderful feelings of oxytocin, that feeling when you hug somebody, the warm and fuzzies. The likes on Facebook will create that same experience in our bodies. And it does, like you said, it becomes an addiction. You can become very addicted to those hormones.
The acceptance,
right?
The acknowledgments, and because it's all so fast paced and so immediate, some of the triggers that we're now learning about because of social media is the delay, so to speak. So you post something, you put up a picture.
And you're looking. How come nobody liked it yet? Nobody liked it yet.
Exactly.
Nobody liked it yet. Oh, only 3 people liked this, but 7 people liked that person's post.
Right.
It becomes a competition. And
that's an excellent trigger if you can learn to recognize it. And like Angel, you mentioned with your girls, even recognizing it in them, maybe seeing that they're on their phone and they've just posted something and they're paying incredible attention at whether or not they're getting any of those responses. That's a great opportunity to have that kind of a discussion, to kind of bring that into their awareness, because it is something that we're all dealing with it on different levels. It may not even be social media. It could be any of us going to work and accomplishing a certain project or doing an excellent job at something and waiting for that external acknowledgement. That's what Genia had kind of mentioned before.
Right.
It's the external. It's our internal state waiting for that external validation.
Quite similarly, when you send that text and the person doesn't respond to you right away,
Yeah.
and then you're spinning all the stories and the tales that generally are pretty negative, and pretty negative against you. They must not like me. They must be ignoring me. Maybe I pissed them off. We start fortune telling, this doom and gloom future, and then all of a sudden, 3 hours later, when they do finally text us back, we find out they were taking a nap, and like, oh, but we've put ourselves through all this, self-degradation. But I think you're right. Like you had mentioned, social media it's amazing. It's an amazing tool. It's an amazing technology. And oh my gosh, how awesome that we had it during, the plague of the last 2.5 years to connect with people. And it can be used, for utility. But of course, like everything else, there's a duality. It can become addicting and have the reverse effect.
Absolutely.
And I agree there, because it used to be before, those 4 words that were so detrimental before, when you would hear it, it would make you cringe. We need to talk.
Oh,
right?
yeah. I think everybody that's probably listening to, say that one more time, they'll get that certain feeling in their bodies.
Yeah. That was the one that I as soon as I would hear that, I said, we need to talk. Wait. Oh, that was okay. Let me put that knife away for a second, because it was those words that you would hear before, and it would make you just do the same thing. They just, like I said, Genia, that you would cringe, because like, is it going to happen now? And the worst part was the follow-up to it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. So it's 4 followed by the other 5 words, the 9 words that no one could ever stand. And so now it seems synonymous when it comes to social media that that heart or the like or the love button, whichever one you want to call it, that is the new we need to talk. Because if something doesn't reply, someone doesn't reply something back, which you think it's creative or you did something completely different, something else, it's like, what did I do wrong? I don't understand. And then they start to up their game, their own little game in their head, because it's not like anyone cares about. There's just times when we know that we hear from whether it's Instagram or Facebook, whoever the case may be, they all go by these certain algorithms. Well, if you do it during this certain time at this day, the temperature could be like this, you could become a sensation. And to me, I think that's just a false narrative, because when I hear school kids talking all the time and they talk about the things they post up there on social media, they're so hard on each other just to be like known or to be liked or something else that it becomes like almost like a deadly sin. Because you go to school, at least when we were growing up, and you guys as well, because it was for an education to make sure that we made our parents proud. And then we felt good with the friends that we had back then, because we didn't have the immense pressure that all these kids have today. So if we talked to one another, it was because, oh, so-and-so dated this person, they didn't go out the way they wanted to, so now they moved on to this person. But you were never like treated like I want to say like a meme, I guess, put it that way. You were always treated with either a little respect, or if you decided you wanted to talk trash about somebody, then whatever the high school rumor was back then and there, it was well deserved because you did it. You would cause that, that conflict, or you caused something to somebody else to put you in a situation. Well, fast forward to today, it's the same way. Those 4 words can end up meaning so many different things with all these different platforms that I feel bad that people cannot express themselves the way they want to. And if they do, it has to be followed by something else. Like you guys could be, right now, the 3 of us could be in a ballroom somewhere. Genia, you walk in and you have the most excellent gown on, and it's the way I say it. If I say, Genia, Jesse, you look absolutely stunning tonight. And I'm right next to Jesse. The 3 of us are right there. But here comes this person over here who's ear hustling. Wait, did he just come on to his wife? Like, what did that mean? And so then you have to turn around and say, oh, I'm sorry. I should have said, she looks beautiful in the dress that she had purchased from whatever store. And it's a dissertation this long.
Exactly. Yeah.
So why do people seem like now things are taken so far out of context when all we should just be is ourselves? We should say what's on our mind, as long as we're not being disrespectful and taking things out of context. But now we have to explain ourselves even more. And that seems to also add towards like mental awareness.
Right. It's the stories that we tell ourselves, and it's the stories that we think others are telling themselves. Right. There's this great Charles Cooley quote, and it's a little bit difficult to get, but I am not who I think I am. I am not who you think I am. I am who I think you think I am. And while that sounds incredibly complicated, it speaks to the stories that we tell ourselves, but to 2 different layers above: the stories that we tell ourselves about who we think we are, the stories that we tell ourselves about who others think we are, and that there's still this story that we're telling ourselves of who we think they think we are. So in that example that you gave, walking into the ballroom and the gown comment, there's 3 different stories going on in there.
Right.
And then there's also each of us worried about the stories that the other people are thinking.
The other people's perception.
And all this happens in literally fractions of a second, because we are really, really good at adapting this type of a behavior, because that's how we learn. We learned, as Genia had spoken a minute ago about, even as far as being babies and children and getting that acknowledgement back. Well, what were the stories that we were telling ourselves as a baby? That smile in my mom's face is telling me that I'm a good person. And that's where it begins. And it gets faster and faster and faster.
And that's where perception kind of gets foggy, because you come in and tell me I look absolutely stunning in my dress. Thank you very much, Angel, by the way. I myself take that as a wonderful compliment. I worked all day. I got my hair done. Yay. I'm so excited someone noticed how stunning I look. My husband here, who's confident with himself, he's like, you're right. She's looking good. third person that's taking the word that kind of gets me, offense. Maybe they learned, somewhere along the way, complimenting a woman is equals hitting on them. Now that's a belief that they're carrying. It's not your belief, it's not my belief, but it's their belief. And I think we get really in dangerous territory when we try to force our own beliefs and our own morality on everyone around us.
Yet we do that.
But we do it all
so
the
often
time.
and so naturally. It has become a default behavior. And like you had mentioned, social media, that's a great example of, sure, it can be used beautifully and to our betterment if we're using it to learn to express ourselves, because that's what all social media is. It's just everybody expressing themselves.
There can be an argument. People are expressing themselves on social media, but 9 times out of 10, it's negative.
Yeah, maybe those are just the reactions.
Right. And then, you get a negative reaction. Everybody's jumping on the bandwagon.
Right.
So it can have the reverse effect. But again, it is, I think, goes back to, wanting to fit in and get the likes, and you ask, why can't we just be our real selves on social media? Well, we can. It takes courage. It takes resilience.
And it takes learning some tools that we were not set up with. And that's what this discussion is all about. It's understanding that we weren't taught how to, think about it. We were never taught how to deal with social media for our own mental health.
Right.
We were taught how we're all going to play in this sandbox of social media, and we're going to continue telling ourselves the stories and literally destroying ourselves from within. So it starts with awareness. Like in this conversation, there's elements of an awareness that if we can recognize that I am being triggered by posting this thing and waiting for that reaction, or that person who reacted, negatively, that comes from a story that isn't mine. That's their story. These are little elements of tools that we can start to employ and start to practice a lot, following the awareness. But again, these are new.
Yeah.
This is that new take on mental health.
Yep. No, it is. And to kind of flip it now on the other side here, because it as it all comes in together, take that same scenario. Now we're going to flip it over to Jesse, right? Same way. As a heterosexual male to another heterosexual male, we can walk in the same room, and it's funny to me where another man can't say to another man, Jesse, that suit looks fabulous on you. And that tie, where did you get it from? And the same thing now happens in a room as what? Now, here's the other ear hustler. Wait, was that a gay comment? Was that something that was like, am I understanding that right? So then you got to turn, you again. Okay, let me explain. So he bought the suit from Lord & Taylor, and he's been working out, and so now he looks great. So, and it's either way. It's either towards a man or towards a woman. And before, again, these were things that we can use to say before without being judged. Now, if you say something, it's completely different, and you could be, part of whichever community you want to, and everyone is equally loved. But when you then start pushing too much of the boundaries, like, well, you need to join my community. No, my community is better. No, my community has this. It gets to a point where, okay, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to believe? Do I talk to my kids about certain communities? What do I not talk about? Am I not supposed to say that to a man because is that making me feel weird? So kind of, if you guys can walk a little bit more through it, is it okay, even if it's from a man to a woman, as I use you first and then Jesse next, is it all right for us to still say what we like without having the 50,000 explanations?
Well, he tossed it to you, but I do love that you said the word judgment, because we can talk a long time about judgment. And I think judgment is something that does get us all stuck in our own heads. And again, forcing our moralities on those around us, and speaking our truth. For me, I don't think it's a male-female problem, right? I think it's a human. It's a human problem. Expressing yourselves. Yeah, go ahead, pick it up.
No,
yes, you. I'm like,
I actually like that example better, Angel, because it does speak to the judgment and the social conditioning, which is what we both were alluding to earlier. Those rules that you just asked, why can't we just freely express ourselves? Why are there rules about what we can and can't do? It is about questioning those rules. Why isn't it okay for you to make those comments to me in my suit? Because of some social rule that was established long ago in your mind that you may not even be aware of.
You might have learned it from your parents, from your caregivers, from your school, from your whatever organizations that you're associated with.
Absolutely. So
these are beliefs.
So it starts, we talked earlier about the awareness. It starts with questioning it. You have the awareness that, oh, look, I don't feel comfortable saying to this guy, how good he looks in that suit. Why is that? Oh, it's because I believe this rule that I sometime in my past had learned, and I think everyone else is carrying around those same rules. So if I express myself, I'm somehow going to violate that rule.
A great question, that like an introspective question that you could ask yourself in those moments is, what is it that I believe about myself that's making me behave that way? Right? We're so quick to place our suffering on other people. Well, it's his fault that I'm feeling this way. It's his fault for telling Jesse he has a nice suit, and that's triggering me. Not so much. Right? We are all responsible for our own thoughts and our feelings and our behaviors. So to start questioning those, like, what is it that I believe about myself that's making me behave this way, making me behave with judgment or make more projection or
and
things
the
like
answer is always going to be some rule or some belief that you learned from someone else,
right?
Or many someone else's.
And a comment just popped up and it said, "That's empathy, mate," and that absolutely is empathy. Trying to meet people where they are, and I love our viewer for saying that, Grant. Thank you. I mean, empathy is a superpower, but again, it's not a superpower that we learn
right
on our own. It's a superpower that we have to seek out and cultivate and practice. And one of the best empathy exercises that I've ever learned on our journey is just the simple philosophy that everyone you meet is doing the absolute best they can in any given moment. Right. And I get a lot of pushback on that. I get a lot of pushback. We've heard a lot of pushback. What do you mean that person that just pissed me off is doing the best they can? Yeah, they actually are.
So, place it inside that scenario that you just described. So there's that third person looking at the exchange between you and I, and the story exists that, oh, he must be judging us as, inappropriate, or maybe, using some labels like gay or just simply inappropriate. No, he's doing the best that he can with what he's got in this moment. And what he's got are tools that don't allow him to think beyond the social rule that he learned a long time ago, that a man can't tell another man that he looks good.
Yeah.
So it really is that simple of a breakdown, but it is new.
Yeah, it's true. And I'm hoping to get the name correctly. And I got a caller here on the line, so give me a second. But Gia, I hope that I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But Gia came in with time to deprogram and reprogram to the better of ourselves. And then followed up with, we are judged by the way we breathe nowadays, which is absolutely the truth. It seems nuts to even say that, but it's the absolute truth. Grant, and by the way, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Grant says it's also a weakness.
Sure.
Perspective is everything, and perspective again. And again, this is why the discussions need to be had and need to be talked about, because it is a shame that, things, the way things are, and I could use someone currently that's sitting somewhere in particular and always talks about, well, my dad said this, and we all know that his dad really didn't say that, but I won't even bring that up because it's a whole different show for a whole different day. But for me, it should be one of those things that you should be able to say what's on your mind. Again, it's being respectful. Now it's different. If I flip the script once again, and I say to Jesse, and I know once again, if I'm a heterosexual man, and I look at Jesse, those pants, are they a size 30? A little wink. I don't have an emoji, but the little wink right here, little glass of my eye. Then that's a whole different spectrum there, because now it's like I am coming on to you, and that becomes a different conversation. But to me, it should always be this, the same exact way. As long as you take it within that respect level that you can compliment someone and you shouldn't be judged by it. And I know now most places you work for in the offices, they have even now a laundry list of things that you can and can no longer say. And you also have to be careful how you say, which is, it's a 5-letter word. It makes me nuts. If you say hello to someone, you have to be careful how you say it, because depending on how it comes out, someone could say, hello? Like, what's that supposed to mean? Like, just a simple word, hello.
Well, with that, Angel, somewhere along the line in our human evolution within the last 100 years or so, we've also, I talked about our superpower of before. Another one of our superpowers as humans, we've learned this trick, and it's called the blame game, right? So it's our emotions are everyone else's fault. You made me feel this. You said that and made me feel this. We're trying to hold other people responsible for our own reactions. And that, and that has now turned into, we can't say this, we can't say that, we can't, mention this, we can't look at someone cross-eyed, because it's, if you say something to me that triggers me, it's your fault. So now you can't say that, because we make excuses for ourselves all day long, and we blame our internal workings on those around us. And yeah, great strategy in the long run. Not a very fulfilling one.
It's a great strategy in the short run,
but not a very fulfilling one in the long run.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, when you finally take control of your own thoughts and actions and mind, it doesn't matter who looks at you cross-eyed. It doesn't matter what size Jesse's pants are. It doesn't matter, because you're in control of you. And nothing anyone says or does can shove you off the edge of equilibrium or alignment, right? If I walk into a party wearing that beautiful, stunning dress, I'm really loving that analogy, if you can't tell. And, I walk in, and person A over there, they're saying, oh God, she looks awesome. She looks fantastic. I love her confidence. She's wonderful. Person B over there, look at that stuck-up snob. I can't believe she's wearing that. She looks like trash. Which one are right? Like, neither one of them. But neither one of their judgments can faze me.
And why is that?
Because I'm in control of my thoughts and my actions and my perceptions.
And that can be achieved by...
It takes practice.
Yeah, but realizing what you had said earlier, and that's that people are doing the best they can with what they've got at any given moment. So whatever they're feeling, whatever they're expressing, that comes from their story.
Right.
It doesn't have to be my story, or it doesn't have to be your story.
Right.
Right.
You know your story because you've done the work, which is the practice of various different tools. And those tools are contradictory to the social rules and the, not even the non-social rules that we have learned. We have learned that other people say things and we have to react, or we have to feel those, the trigger reactions from those things. That's what we were taught.
And again, we were taught that. I mean, tell me if you've ever heard, your parents say this to you, Angel, when you were younger: you're making me angry. Stop stressing me out. We learned this from our direct, these direct caregivers in our lives. You're pissing me off. You're stressing me out. So we learn at a very, then I'm responsible for their stress. So person B over here has got to be responsible for my stress. And that's how we learn the blame game. And we go through life, we try to control everything around us, what people say, what people do, the way people look at us, the way, they interact with us. And that's exhausting. And that's just giving our power away.
Which brings you right to the classic concept of what you can control and what you can't control. Well, what is that? I try and control everything around me, my circumstances, the behaviors of others, but the only thing I can control is my reaction to them. Now, if that's true, then the power lies inside of me, not in trying to control other people. It ties in even to the social media conversation that we were having a few minutes ago. seeing a post, it angers you, it triggers you for whatever reason and meaning that you've placed on it. And so you type in a comment, well, that really makes me mad. There's another example of that external thing is controlling what's inside of me. And we don't realize it because we just don't have that awareness.
And triggers, it's a great word, and it's all over everywhere. And this triggered me, that triggered me, this triggered me, that triggered me. The point that we're missing, it's never the thing that triggers us. It is never the person. It's never the situation. It's never what's going on in that moment that triggers us. It's what's going on inside of us, our thoughts, our beliefs about what's going on. So triggers are teachers. Triggers can be great doorways and pathways to those subconscious whispers saying, hey, there's something to look over here. There's something, that's glitching inside of me, right? That I can fix because I've got the control to fix it. This person doesn't. That political party can't fix me. That, group of people over there can't fix me. So I love to look at triggers as teachers. Whenever I'm triggered, whether it's a positive trigger, which we can get into, or a negative trigger, which is mostly the ones that we're focused on, I'm like, ooh, okay. What's going on here? What is it? What's inside of me that needs some attention?
But that right there, what Genia just described and explained, is the work of separating yourself from the social conditioning, the rules that you had learned, using that awareness of, I've just been triggered, and then getting curious. Self-curiosity is an amazing step that you can place into any given moment whenever you're triggered by sadness, anger, frustration. And that was beautiful how you broke that down.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that.
It was really nice. And Grant, by the way, Grant and Gia are coming in, back to back with comments. Grant just came back. He said, I'd love to chat with you too. Maybe we can help someone. This needs to be taught. And
absolutely, Grant, this totally needs to be taught. I could spend a long time talking about how, the mental health situation for the last 50 to 100 years that just is not working. It hasn't worked. I mean, we are the most anxious, stressed out, depressed, addicted group of humans that has ever walked on this planet. So the old style of mental health and wellness, it's just not working because this stuff isn't taught. Personal responsibility isn't taught.
In the last 2 years, we've had a healthy daily, minute-by-minute dose of fear added into it.
Right.
And that's COVID has given us all tremendous opportunity to look at that trigger of fear.
Absolutely.
And it's just maximized exactly what we've been going through.
It does. Grant also says it really does. People are dropping off too fast, and it's a minefield. The old style didn't even exist. And it's
right.
Grant, again, bringing up great points. I've had now for the longest, and he's probably going to kill me, my fabulous co-host from Broad Street South, Mike Fuji's on the line here. Mike, first of all, how are you doing from Lincoln Financial Field?
I'm doing good. Met Barrett Brooks, who we had on earlier, Jason Avant. He talked about the draft. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. I'm calling in, just listening to the conversation. Everybody's under a microscope these days, and it's like, social media is so powerful. It could either make it or break it. Either it booms your emotions, or it'll drag your emotions down in depression. And, where were we before social media? Where were we before cell phones and the internet? It was a different world. I'm 50 years old, just turned 50 in March. I'd like to thank you for coming on. And, the world was a different aspect when we didn't have no cell phones. Does everybody agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was definitely different times. For sure.
I mean, nobody had no anxiety about leaving your cell phone, what's going on Facebook, Twitter, all these social media outlets. It was like, all right, there's pros and cons on both sides of the fence. Nobody, it's just, to me, you want to know, it's all about, the media, it's all about attention. Everybody, or you can, God forbid, the Amber Alerts, the kid goes out, it's, put out there, the Amber Alerts are out there, and everybody's just doing their thing and posting it, and everybody's just going crazy. TikTok, everybody's singing, dancing. Now, let's get back to the family values. Like, you don't see many families getting together. I was always told an old-fashioned statement: the family that prays together stays together.
Mm-hmm.
You could have dinner together. You got parents running all over, dropping this kid off to that sport, to that activity. We didn't have all this. I mean, everything was right there. And, everybody was just laid back. You didn't have to worry about social media, which to me is kind of like the devil's poison today. It's good, but it's bad. Pros and cons on both sides of the fence.
Nope, you're right, Mike.
I agree with you, Mike. I think I like the way, it is good and it is bad. And we do recognize, growing up, we're all in the same genre. I think things were a little different, and social media. Yeah.
I mean, in our time, you didn't have people video chat, like video taping fights and this and that. Like, people helped each other out. Like, where's the respect? You don't even see it. Like, some guy could be getting his butt kicked in, and people are just standing right there with the phones, just letting it go. Like, whatever happened to, like, humanity, morality, like helping this person out? This guy's getting his butt kicked in by 6 people. Where's everybody else at? Holding that phone. Everybody should be jumping in, covering for this, man. It's, it's outnumbered. It's a disgrace. The road rage, everything. I mean, where's the morale of people today? It all went down the toilet thanks to social media. It's good, but it's a flat-out disgrace because people don't have no morals. These younger generations, there's good and bad, but, it's not taught right. And it's a flat-out disgrace to me, and it fires me up, like my Philadelphia Eagles when they're doing that. But I want to tell you, it should just be, that's not how we were raised. That's not how we came up. Everybody always had respect for elders, for people's parents. You don't even know that today. And it just lights me up. These idiots, the way they tried, these three-wheelers, these idiots doing papa wheelies in the street. They know what? Split your head open because, God forbid, it's a hard lesson to learn. And it just fires me up.
I appreciate your passion.
It kills me.
It's understandable.
It kills me because if I could take etiquette 101, I'd smack them all right across the board. You
Sure.
think football fires me up? It's more about thank you, please. It's all about, it's not all about me. It's all about family values. And a lot of these jokers today don't know jack about it.
Right.
You know what? I'll give myself a heart attack driving, but it kills me with etiquette. Please, thank you. Of course.
Don't give yourself a heart attack driving. I embraced your passion.
I'm fine, but it just hurts me. Etiquette, if some ignorance kills me, you hold the door for somebody. Oh, you're welcome. All you got to say is, please, thank you. How'd your mother raise you? Did she pull you up by the back of your hair? It's a disgrace. It's a flat-out disgrace today. You know what? I'll blow 10 blood vessels about it. Because people, these younger generations don't know how we came up.
So Mike,
It hurts me. It fires me up to no end.
All right.
and here's what you're doing, Mike. What you're expressing is exactly what's happening in probably all of us at any given moment. So what do we do?
Society flat out sucks. Excuse me.
No.
Some people shouldn't be parents today because they don't know how to teach the morals and the values of how we came up. Maybe if you light a fire under their ass, put them in the damn military and straighten them out.
And
because it kills me. How these generations going to come up and raise their own kids? Now when everybody's riding around killing people, don't give a rat's ass about nothing. Sorry, but
no, Mike,
I'm being honest.
Don't ever
Honesty
apologize
never killed you.
for speaking your truth, Mike. We totally appreciate
It kills me to no end. You know what? It's my own child. My daughter's mother raised her, and she did a hell of a job.
Right.
Beautiful.
And it's not because it's my own child, but she has the values. She ain't like all into this. No, it's about me.
Right.
It's how you raise your kids that are going to pave the way for their life.
Very true. And Mike, this is exactly what Genia and I are trying to do, and we are just two of thousands out here who are completely in alignment with what you're saying. That's the same story that's regurgitating inside of us, but we have to do something about it. We can the rumination, it continues, and that's what causes us sickness, right?
Right.
So what do we do about it? Well,
we lead by example. I think
when you got a jackass government running shit, trying to run, telling you how to live your own life, that don't work. It don't work, folks.
It doesn't
It don't work. Flat out.
Trying to control the external never works, but what we can control are our thoughts and our actions and our minds. And those things, we were talking about triggers earlier, and a lot of times our triggers can fuel our passions.
Absolutely.
For our convictions, and can also be, helping us stay in alignment with our values. Clearly, you have some very strong values, and anger can be used to build or destroy, and we're trying to build, and I think you are too, and I think you made some great points. There is a good side to social media. It can be wonderful to connect. It's amazing that thank goodness we had like FaceTime and Zoom and all these things during times where we couldn't see loved ones. But it does get overused, but it's not social media. It is our own responsibility on how we use this technology,
right,
and who we're following and what we're listening to, and how we're treating people and things like that. It's in our individual responsibility. So,
and Mike, when you were first talking, you were talking about getting back to family values and the way that the world was before social media, before cell phones. Here's the good news that we often don't think about. We are the most adaptable species on the planet.
100%.
And it takes the kind of passion that you just got done explaining and talking about to create that adaptation. We just have to put a question on the end of it. Okay, now what do we do? Now, how do we get back to that connected?
How can we get back to that connected while incorporating the new technology? It's not going anywhere.
That's
We're not going to unplug, but can we put our phones down during a family meal? Can we have no phone zones in the house? Can we make a concerted effort to connect with our loved ones and our friends on a baseball field?
And even what Angel was saying earlier, can we get to a point where we can learn to express how we're feeling in a way that's going to be most acceptable to others so that we can begin that connection? And none of that has anything to do with a cell phone. And it has nothing to do with social media. But if we could build those skills aside, and then they'll bleed into social media. They'll bleed into, the twisted ways in which some people might use social media.
So it is almost, it sounds trite, but you need to be the change.
Right.
If you want to, you want to be a master gardener, you have to build a garden, right? If you want to be a connective human, you have to
build those
formulate
skills.
connections. You have to become the change that you seek. And I think if more people were to grasp that, right, and use that passion, like, oh my God, your passion and your expressiveness, use it to build the connections. Amazing.
And
I love that.
And there's proof right here, right now, because we're all having this conversation. So it can happen on this small scale, and it can grow.
Right. And remember, we are battling, social media. It is an addiction. It is an addiction, just like drinking, just like shopping, just like sex, just like drugs. It is distracting us from what's going on within us.
The pain,
right? What better way to not think about, your deepest, darkest shadow feelings than scrolling Facebook?
That's it.
Right? It's an easy.
Social media is a disease, and it's like people got to be on it,
right?
Including myself. I mean,
but
it's
again,
like the first thing you get up to the last thing you go to bed is like, either you post something, what somebody else doing, what's Joe Blow up the street, like taking pictures, this, that, and the third. And it's just an addicting, it's almost like drugs, alcohol, or nicotine. But it's a mental thing.
Right. What if, just like alcohol and nicotine, what if social media is not the disease? What if it is the symptom? Just like we've been treating mental health issues or challenges as a disease for so many decades now, and we're not getting anywhere because we are treating the symptom. The disease is what lies underneath. What are we trying to avoid by being on social media all day long? What are we trying to avoid by drinking ourselves into a coma? What are we trying to avoid by shopping? What are we trying to avoid? These are symptoms. Let's get to the root of it. And that's what Jesse and I do, and find out what's going on underneath the symptom. I think we need to reclassify.
All the trauma.
It's a trauma.
A lot of people just.
I would imagine
people turn other things just to.
Yep, it's the trauma. 100%.
People just turn other venues to like forget reality.
100%.
Instead of dealing with their problems.
Yep. But again,
it's a way out.
It is. But we can adapt, and we are adapting.
And we need to stop looking at the symptoms and judging and labeling them and go to the cause.
It's sad to say because I work in Center City, Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I ride past Kensington and Allegheny, and I see, people just strung out, sleeping. It's like, it's sad. Ever since before the pandemic, it's a disgrace because nobody in this government does nothing about it. They just let Kensington just sink into the abyss, and it's a flat out joke because they ignore it. You got politicians, and I want to call out Republicans, Democrats, both on both sides. They can battle in the media, but they're all sitting behind closed doors, kissing each other's ass, lining each other's pockets, and it's a disgrace. Because they don't care, and we could pay $5 a gallon coming up, but they don't care about us people that vote them in, but we keep putting them in there. They're all crooks. Right. We ought to just throw them in jail and throw away the key because it's a flat out joke.
Right. And now, yeah, I too, Mike, Jesse and I have spent.
Political, but that's the truth.
Well, and what if for your own peace, what if you could wrap your head, I just know for myself, it makes me feel better when I believe that people are doing the best they can. The policies, I don't agree with, right? I've spent time down in Kensington with our nonprofit, Jesse has too. It's heartbreaking for sure. And again, that's what we're saying, because the focus has always been on treating the symptom or criminalizing the symptom, and there's not a lot of resources or places to go where we can get to the core of the problem. What led you here? There's a great quote. I think it's by Desmond Tutu. We have to stop pulling people out of the river. We have to find out why they're jumping in. And I always remember that we for years and years and years, society's been looking at the wrong thing. They've been looking at the effect, not the cause. There's other people just like Jesse and I that are looking at the cause. We've been stigmatizing and criminalizing, and it's not working. And they've tried that. It's not working. Now it's time to try something a little different.
And that's why we do what we do. And many people like us do what they do. We recognize you're absolutely right about the government. You're absolutely right about the different political parties. You're right about the different organizations. They're only contributing to the problem.
But at the end of the day, you have to remember these entities, they're just human beings that make up these governments and these,
right.
And they're doing the best that they can.
But the power,
the intentions are good.
The power that Mike just demonstrated, in expressing his feelings, that same power is what's behind our ability to adapt, our ability to say, walk through Kensington and to see someone who may be suffering from, what we might label it on the onset as a mental problem, but what's at the core of it? There's fear, there's loneliness, there's disconnection.
There's trauma.
If we can take on just a simple, short act of connecting with somebody by saying, hey man, I totally understand. I hope that you understand that your value is more than what you feel it is right now. Just words like that, just offering those types of things,
right.
And all of us doing it at an incredible, an increased speed,
right.
And with the passion that Mike just got done expressing, that's what changes. Right. It's not believing that it's going to be the government and then criticizing the government, because the government has nothing to do with that solution. It is in each and every single one of us.
Well, hey, Fooj, now that I got you all nice and calm, I'm pretty sure your best friend Howard Roseman, you guys are hanging out. By the way, for those who are tuning in today, whether you're tuning in from Australia, overseas, here stateside, Fuji, who's again my co-host on Broad Street South, him and Harry Roseman, who is the general manager of Philadelphia Eagles, they're hanging out tonight. They're having the best time in the world. So, Fuji, want to make sure you get back to your dinner there with Howie.
It went good. I mean, met Barrett Brooks, Jason and Bob, a couple ex-former Eagles, and everybody loved the draft. And, Howie did his thing, and now we're talking about reality.
That's the way it works. But listen, we're coming up on the hour number one. So thank you for tuning in. I want to see if maybe Grant will give us a minute or two, because he's been making some good comments along with Gia. We're going to have Gia on with us next week, so she can be a part of the panel. That way she can come on and she can discuss what she feels, and what they're feeling at the moment. But and Grant says mantra: I was born to help people. If I can't, let's see. If I can't help them, let's not hurt them. So,
beautiful.
I love that.
That's awesome, Grant.
Beautiful. And we will,
so we'll see if Grant calls in. I invited Grant as well to be on part of the panel, but he says he may not be here next week. So I want to see if Grant maybe end up calling in. So Fuji, I'm going to let you go for the moment. Thank you, sir, for calling in, and I do appreciate you as always.
Thank you, sir, and appreciate the work that we folks in the future, and let's get something rocking.
Let's get it rocking,
Sounds
Mike.
good, Mike.
Thank you so much for calling in.
You take care.
I love your passion.
You're welcome. Thank you. Have a good evening. It was great speaking with you both.
You too.
Same back to you, bud.
All right, Fuge, have a great night, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Get on. Mike, and Mike gets fired up. Mike gets fired.
I
You should
love
see him
it.
during. Yeah, we have
fantastic.
conversations like this all the time, and it's because if he doesn't get it out, it makes it a lot worse. So it's a good thing that he did call in because he likes to get a lot of things off his chest, which is always great because the more we keep it bottled in, the worse it becomes. So
Absolutely.
that's a great thing. And yes, Grant, if you get the opportunity, sir, you can call in now before we end the show here. But yeah, by all means, call in 813-553-1130. And Gia, send me your email at amartinez@broadstsouth.com. amartinez@broadstsouth.com. And you can, if you don't get it, look on our website, broadstsouth.com. There's a link to my email. Put your email in there, and then I'll send you the link for next week's show. So we hope to see you come next week. But
Yeah,
Grant,
Gia, please join us.
Yeah, and it's always it's a fun, I want to say it's a fun topic because it shouldn't ever be everything depressing. So we have to make sure that we make light of everything that happens in this world. And the more we talk about it, it makes it even better. So
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be all doom and gloom, and it can be, light. I mean, it's deep stuff, but
we're not gonna be in the right space mentally to start to formulate solutions,
right.
Start to create some curiosity, unless we can put some levity into it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't take ourselves too seriously.
Yeah, ever. You got to maintain a little levity in life. Life is challenging enough. We don't want to extra challenge ourselves.
Yeah. No. That is true. And Grant says mental state is good, good and bad, right? And that's why we end up talking about it.
We have them all.
But isn't that life? I mean, look, if we were all just positive and happy all the time, and everything was rainbows and unicorns,
this would be a really boring life.
It'd be a really boring life, and we really wouldn't have too much to talk about. So the rapture of life is recognizing that all emotions are necessary, right? But we haven't learned, to label them correctly, because we know how to be happy, we know how to be sad, and we know how to be pissed off, right? But we don't have words for what's really going on underneath of us.
Exactly.
But they're all useful. They're all teachers. They're all part of a rapturous, fulfilled life.
But we're taught to resist
and bottle and brood and, only show certain emotions. Some are acceptable. Anger was an acceptable emotion growing up in my house. I'm sure it was an acceptable one in a lot of other people's houses too.
Absolutely.
But sadness was equated as weakness, right? So we'll get into all of that too.
Again, well, Grant, I tell you what, same invite that I sent to Gia. By all means, look under broadstsouth.com, click on the email, and then send me an email. And next week, if you can't call into the USA, you can always end up sending me. I'll send you a show link. You can join us, and then you can talk to us right then and there. If you don't want to show your face, you don't have to click on the camera. We can just hear your voice. So it could be like you calling into the USA, except just going it right through the web. So Grant, the invitation is there for you to come next week onto the show. Sure. Let me put this on the screen here so you guys can see it. But by all means, Grant, next week, as you guys can see, I'll put the email out there on the screen for you guys to see. Send me a simple email. Let me know you want to come on the show, and we'll have you guys on the show come next week. That way, at least you can share your life experience with us, and I think it'll just make it a lot better. So by all means,
for sure.
So I just think it would be so much more better. So Gia, hopefully you can see the email up there on the screen. But listen, tonight, of course, we can go on this topic forever. Normally, we like to make the show here about an hour. We ran a couple over, just because of Fuji going absolutely nuts. But that's just Fuji. Love the guy to death because
Fuji, right?
Yeah, he gets passionate. There's a lot more. You guys will have to come back during the NFL season, just like on our regular normal show that we do on Thursday nights, because now Tuesday nights are dedicated to you guys. But on Thursday night, when Fuji gets fired up, especially during the games, he becomes.
We're gonna be fully padded for that.
That's
one.
right.
Yeah, we're gonna wear the
we'll
whole,
wear the
all the
pads.
pads.
We'll be ready.
You're going to need it.
Fired up.
When it comes to Fuji, you're definitely going to need it. But before we let everybody go here for the evening, I want to make sure that you guys share out your social to make sure if people want to reach out and want to talk to you guys, whether it's a one-on-one, whether they want to shoot something on Messenger or anything else. So I'm going to bring up your normal screen here. I know DJ Montage has it ready here. So I'm going to bring this one up first, and then anywhere else they can reach you as far as on social media.
Sure. You can just find us on Rain Dance Life, raindancelife.com. All of our socials the same, Rain Dance Life. You'll find it. Just one word, Rain Dance Life, one word, and you will find us. You can message us. You can email us through our website. There's a phone number. If you're in the States, you can call the number there. Send us an email. We are in the Bahamas, so I do have a WhatsApp, but shoot us an email if you want to talk to us via WhatsApp. I can get that number to you as well. Follow us on Facebook. Give us a like for sure.
We are here for you.
Absolutely, 100%.
100%.
We are
I
here.
almost forgot.
We're here to help people. That is our mission.
I forgot almost one thing here that I want to make sure we cover before we end up signing off here. The meme busters.
Meme busters. Yes. Right.
So, before I bring up the one that was sent over, let's see. Grant says, chemistry in motion on Insta.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Grant, I'm sure I'm doing that.
Awesome.
Jess says, yes, I love Rain Dance Life Center.
We love you
Thank
too.
you, Gia.
And Grant says, I'd appreciate a little chat if you game prior to the public. Yeah, Grant, listen, like I said, Grant, come on. Normally I'm signed on about a half hour before the show starts. So by all means, send me an email. We'll chat before you come on in case you do want to come on if you don't. But by all means, send me an email and we'll end up chatting here a little bit before you'll come on the show. So the invite's there. And that's to anyone who's listening in tonight. And for those listening to the audio download side of the show, if you want to come on the show and be a guest, be a part of the panel, by all means, make sure you can send out an email. Again, you can visit right through broadstsouth.com. Click on the email link that's there. Shoot me an email and let me know exactly what you want to talk about, and we'll bring you guys on. So we have the show is for everybody. It's for everyone out there. And Gia and Grant, it's because you guys tonight making the comments you guys have made is what made the show successful here this evening. So by all means, please come back. And I want to bring up the meme that was
one more thing too. In addition to that, like if someone
Sure.
has a coaching question or they're going through something and they're, and they don't want to be on the show, but they have a question, they can email it into you, or they can shoot us an email through our website, or contact us, send us a message, give us a call. We're here to help. Right. And, sometimes people are going through things and they don't want, their spouse to know, or their mother-in-law, or this and that. Shoot us an email. You have a question, you're having a challenge, triggers something going on, we will absolutely, put ourselves in action and try to help walk with you through it on the show.
Absolutely.
no problem, Grant. And thank you as well for the comments. And he said he needed it. So again, you never know. And this turned out to be a great night. Turned to be a great first night. So I want to bring up the meme because we do want to bust a myth around here, but I want to bring up a meme. Have you guys, I'll as far as I'll mention here, and then I want you guys to take over from that point, and then we'll end the show from there. But the one meme that's up there, it comes from Paper Coach. It says, "You get the best version of me when I know I can trust you." Now, is that the biggest myth ever, or is it something that people believe because that's something that they again want to hear?
Exactly. It is one of those social constructs that when they put it out, someone puts it out as a meme, it connects with so many people. Just even looking at the comments that will fall underneath a meme like that.
Right.
Complete and utter agreement. But there's a hitch inside of that. Can you put it up one more time? Just so we can,
Sure.
we can use the words themselves. So you get the best version of me when I know you can trust, when I can trust you. That's the external that we were talking about.
Right. You're leaving your alignment, your power. You're just handing your power into somebody else's hands. Like, I'm going to wait to be my authentic self till I wait to see if you're being your authentic self. So how disempowering is that?
And what
right?
is
What message is that? Like, I don't need, like,
and
it's
what's the
glitching.
fear?
What's the fear?
So trust is an incredible word, because obviously we all understand what it means, and we all have our own definition of where that falls. But what do we lose when when our trust is violated? We don't lose a limb. We don't lose our life. We literally lose something have something threatened on the inside, but we can hold on to that. We can learn to hold on to those things and see that actually the vulnerability that we put out by just trusting without waiting for that external stimulus, so to speak, is exactly where we need to get to in order to do everything that we talked about tonight, in order to have that power.
Right. And again, it's another one like, well, I'm going to wait and I'm going to see who you're going to be before I decide who I'm going to be in this moment. Oh my God, that's exhausting.
And disconnected.
And totally disconnected.
That doesn't breed.
And we lose ourselves in
relationships.
Right. And we talk about authenticity. Why can't we be authentic on social media? That's like, that's a meme that's telling you not to be authentic. It's like, oh, wait for the other person to do something before you decide how you're going to be.
Exactly.
So which one is that? Is that we have 3 categories in our meme busting. So Jesse Silva, is that toxic positivity, spiritual bypassing, or just bad advice?
Oh, that's just bad advice.
Just bad advice. We're going to file that one under just bad advice.
Yeah, that's true. And Grant says, love how this is running overtime due to pure passion. And we wouldn't be running into overtime.
It is. We could talk forever. Anyone that knows us, I'll never shut up. So
no, it's not, because it's true. If it's not passionate, listen, anyone can do a regular show and have the regular voice. Hello, this is Bob, and welcome to Life Matters. No one wants to hear that. Everybody wants to be themselves. They want to make sure that the voice and the message are being heard. And the best way to do it is between Grant and Gia tonight, who've been, a powerhouse, both of them tonight, with the message they've been coming into, and especially even with Grant. You guys got to make sure that as we all talk amongst one another, everyone shares their views, everyone shares their opinion, because who am I to judge anyone? I'm not God. That day's going to come. When you get up to them pearly gates, oh, it's you. I remember all those jokes that you had, like, God, it was just jokes. It was just jokes. It's okay. So, I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm here to enjoy my life. I'm here to do the best I possibly can. And I'll share a story with you guys come next week that I shared before the show went on. So I'll leave that one with a cliffhanger for next week. But, thanks to Grant and Gia, and obviously Fuji for calling in tonight. And my last couple of comments here. Grant says gut instinct is to be trusted. Beautiful. And bad advice, Gia.
Gia agrees. Bad advice.
All right.
Yep.
Yay, Gia.
And Angel, thank you. What you said there at the end, as far as who am I? Man, that's just a beautiful thing to keep inside of your mind.
Right.
Absolutely.
When we get to the point where we realize all judgment is actually self-judgment, then you're free from judgment.
It is. And the last comment coming in here tonight will be by Grant. It says, interaction is what makes humans. And it's true. And it's just like, Grant, I'm going to leave you off with this one because that'll be a good topic for next week as well. When it comes down to, as we talk about mental awareness, how about courting or dating, depending on what part of the world you're from? And we can pick up on that topic as well come next week, because that's a great thing, because that part of life seems to have gone away. And thankfully, because of this thing right here, right? It's easier to swipe left and swipe right instead of just doing things the way it was before. So next week, we'll have 2 great topics to talk about. We'll also have Grant. We'll definitely talk to you before the show starts. That way you can figure out if you want to be with us or not. And Gia, by all means, we can't wait to have you on the show as well come next week. So listen to everyone. Grant says, thank you all. We appreciate you, Grant and Gia, and everyone who tuned in. Once again, the download audio of the show will be available immediately here following the show. So if you guys, in case you did miss it, if you're on the boat, you're on a helicopter, in a plane ride, wherever you are, you can tune in to Coaching Sessions. It is episode 1 of Coaching Sessions, many episodes to come. And we can't wait to see. And Grant says, Gia said, great show, you guys. And Grant says, I'm overly familiar as a bartender. See? Another race.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
See? Grant just keeps coming with us. So Grant, we got to have you on. That's all I gotta say. We're gonna have you on. And he says F Tinder, which is it's hilarious because that's where a lot of people have gone. So listen, we'll leave that. So 2 topics to talk about next week. We can't wait to have our guest on there. Right. For everyone else, thank you for tuning in tonight. Again, first episode for Coaching Sessions. We will leave you all with this advice to make sure that if you don't look out for yourselves, also look out for one another, because you never know when that person who's not saying much may be saying the most. So with that being said, have a great night. And for those of us who normally join us on Thursday, we will see you Thursday night to talk some NFL, some NBA, and some MLB talk. So everyone, let me get quick 4 comments in. Barbara Mooney says, love you.
Oh,
hey, love you, Barb.
Maud from Grant.
Mwah, Grant.
Episode 1 from Gia and Gia. LOL Grant. So I'll leave it there before the more comments come in. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We will see you all come next week.